And boy, Aaron Judge has a chance to do something very special in front of the home fans with the Pirates in town tonight. Tom Verducci is there on the ground. Tom, thanks for rejoining the program. We know about the opportunity that Judge has to set this new home run record, but he also leads in the Triple Crown categories now. Beyond the obvious, because it's so rare, why would Judge winning the Triple Crown be so unique this season?
Yeah, it's amazing when you think about the combination of power and hitting for average. Just looking back over history at all the batting champions, the most home runs hit by any batting champion was 52 by Mickey Mantle. Only 2 players have hit 50 home runs while winning a batting title. You see him right there. And Aaron Judge has 60. So let's not sleep on the fact that, yes, the home run record is getting the rightful attention it deserves. But the fact that he's hitting well over 300 is just astonishing. Now, you guys know, usually power and contact are kind of like the yin and the yang of hitting, right? To raise one, you generally compromise the other. Aaron Judge, and I talked about this with Yankees hitting coach Dylan Lawson, has found a way to increase his power and increase his ability to hit for contact. So while we're focused on 60, 61, maybe 62, keep this in mind. In the month of September, with all this going on, Aaron Judge is hitting .475. That's his batting average in September. Amazing.
Tom, I know you've spent a lot of time talking to Yankee players and coaches about his approach. I know you've spent a lot of time watching his film from the season. What stands out to you about his 2022 approach?
Well, for me, Matt, it's the ability to hit the ball to the pull side. He always had that ability, but he's going to that well much more often. When you take a look at his career highs in hits, and especially the home runs, way ahead of anything that he's ever done. Now, we think of Aaron Judge and those home runs at Yankee Stadium and the first couple of seats in right field, letting fastballs get deep. Well, what he's doing now is he's moved up his contact point to click on fastballs out in front of the plate, especially when it's a neutral count or especially count in his favor. He's not just content to take the ball out to right field. He's willing to sit on some pitches early in counts or with count leverage, and you saw that last night on a 3-1 fastball, to hit that ball a little bit farther out in front of the plate and become much more of a pull power hitter than he's ever been before. And again, usually you do that, you catch the ball out front a little more often, you're going to have a little more swing and miss in your game. That's not happening with Aaron Judge. I think it shows how smart his approach has been this year.
Hey, before we let you go, Tom, Bo Rubin and I were kind of speculating earlier in the program about what'll happen if he gets to 61 or 62 tonight. Are there any plans, anything you're aware of in terms of stopping the game, presentations, and ceremony this evening?
Right now, Matt, there are no plans on that regard. Now, I think they'll take a cue from the fans here at the stadium. Last night, of course, they called out Aaron Judge for a curtain call after home run number 60. They were losing. He didn't want to do it, and it was reminiscent of Roger Maris, of course, with 61 and 61. But the Maris family is here. Aaron Judge's parents are here. The right people are here if they want to stop the game and have some sort of ceremony, but that doesn't seem to be the kind of show that Aaron Judge would want to happen. After the game, of course, but probably not during the game. We'll see.
Tom, we appreciate your helping out with some on-the-spot information and your take on Aaron Judge and his chase for history. Tom Verducci joining us from Yankee Stadium as Aaron Judge eyes up 61 and beyond. What a year it's been. To celebrate his 60th home run of the season during a dramatic win just today, Topps now created this new baseball card featuring Aaron Judge. This exclusive card will be available on Topps.com only until 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. After that, it will never be available again. We welcome you back inside with Bo Porter and Ruben Amaro Jr., Matt Vasgersian. And, Bo, you've watched this guy swing the bat for a long time. We don't have enough time to go through all the series of adjustments that he's made in his career. But for you, when you talk about what he's done from his rookie year in 2016 to today, what are the biggest adjustments?
Well, when you look at Aaron Judge today, he's having a party out in front. And the reason he's able to have a party out in front is because a few simple adjustments he made in his setup, in he made in his approach to attacking the baseball. This is back in 2016. You're going to see Aaron Judge look rushed here. He's barely getting back. Those pitches are beating him, and these are fastballs at the top of the zone. When you go to 2022 and we start to look at Aaron Judge, you're going to start to see a much slower load of his hands, which allows him to get back. He's able to see the ball a little bit longer. He's no longer rushed, and he's able to have a party out in front, and he's able to barrel the baseball at will and just destroy these balls. So I went back into the lab and I looked at 2016, I looked at 2022, and here are the two things that are evident for me. We're going to look at Aaron Judge's head. And when we talk about hitting, one thing that you don't want to do, you don't want your head coming forward at the same time as your barrel, because it's going to make the ball speed up. So Aaron Judge has done a great job of keeping his head still, which has allowed him to have more barrel control. And when you talk about a man that big and that athletic with that kind of bat speed, and you put that combination together, you get a season like this.
Pretty dangerous.
You get a season for which the only comps are Bonds. I mean, that's where we've landed on this right now, and that's something that we didn't think we'd ever talk about back in 2002.
And I think Barry Bonds is the best hitter I've ever seen and played against. And, early in Barry Bonds' career, he really struggled with some of the pitches. You'll see some of the stuff right here. He struggled with some pitches early in his career with pitches up and in of the zone. And it was something that later on in his career, he was able to shore up. And I think one of the biggest reasons why he was able to do that, and you see what Aaron Judge was doing early in his career as well. He had that same sort of hole up and in and up out over the plate. But I think what Barry Bonds did was a couple of things. One, he got his foot down early. I talked to Charlie Manuel all the time about, what do you need to be successful? Get your foot down early, and I think that's exactly what Barry Bonds has done. That allows him to see the ball longer. And couple that with the fact that he's not moving forward when he gets his foot down, as Bo talked about before, that's exactly what you're seeing out of Aaron Judge now. He's getting it down early. He's recognizing, he's taking a nice, smooth, easy swing at it. It's not something he's not trying to drive the ball out. He's getting the foot down and he's turning on it and driving the ball out of the ballpark very, very easily, because if you get that foot down, as Charlie Manuel used to say, you could put a barrel on a bullet.
Another kind of Bonds comp, and this is a little more anecdotal. Back in those days when Bonds was hitting, moonshots and ticking totals of 60 and 70 plus, there were times when there wasn't a lot of help around him in the lineup. And the conversation back then was, why did they even pitch to Bonds? We're hearing a lot of that same stuff with Judge. Look, everybody's been hurt around him at one point or another in the second half, which happens to be when he's taken off and gone even crazier here. It kind of stands counter to any conventional wisdom that he'd be at his peak with nobody around him in the second half of the season.
Yes, because pitchers have egos too. And that guy that's 60 feet, 6 inches away is saying to himself, I can strike this guy out. And they believe that they can make their pitches. But to that point, I believe Aaron Judge is going to win the Triple Crown, because I actually think the rest of the way he's going to lead Major League Baseball in walks. They're not going to pitch to him. And when you look at the competition of the guys that he is racing for the batting title, I just think that his batting average is going to stay constant, or it's going to rise because of the number of walks that he will have the rest of the year. I have him getting beyond 62 home runs, but also winning the batting title and eventually the Triple Crown.
That's a bold prediction right there. And I think the reason why I think that he may very well get there is in the way in which he's doing it. He's so relaxed. I think he's so strong mentally, it seems like. When you're doing this and doing this type of damage in New York, now he's been doing it since he's grown up, right? Since he's been there in the big leagues since 2016. He's been doing it for a long time, but he's so relaxed, and the manner in which he's producing, there's no tension to his swing. Everything that he goes about his business with, whether it's on defense, whether it's running the bases, he does it with a nice, relaxed, easy, calm demeanor. And I think if there's anybody who's going to do it, as far as winning the Triple Crown, it's going to be Aaron Judge.
So many crazy elements to what he's doing here. Here's the home run damage by month. The fact that he is 20 home runs ahead of the next highest guy on the list, and that's Kyle Schwarber in Philly. me is miraculous because previously, you know, when you had those big totals, the famous Sosa-McGuire home run race, Bonds, and the Giants in the early 2000s, you know, there was more parity in the league because there were bigger totals happening in more than just one city. This year, it's just Aaron Judge. Nobody else is in that conversation. And to be 20 homers ahead of the next guy on the list is astounding.
That's why, to me, I mean, it's one of the greatest seasons, I mean, in the history of Major League Baseball. When you think about him being in a walk year and a lot of guys that actually cave under that pressure, playing in New York, he has taken all of that and actually it's motivated him to go out and have the type of season in which we're all witnessing.
There can't be a scenario. I don't think any of us could envision a scenario where next year he's in San Francisco or L.A. or Chicago. I mean, the Yankees simply cannot afford to let him go.
It's an irreplaceable part.
Yeah, not in my mind. I mean, there's certain guys in all of baseball that you just can't. I mean, I know, and we talked about a little bit earlier about Mookie Betts leaving the Boston Red Sox. I was very surprised by that. And you know, obviously Mike Trout stayed in Los Angeles with the Angels. I don't think there's any way that the Yankees can leave this guy and let him become a free agent. And if they do, they're going to have to sign him because he's just too valuable in all aspects. It's not just about what he's doing on the field. It's how he carries himself on a day-to-day basis and how important it is, obviously, and you look at his face right now, how important it is for him to win baseball games and to win a championship with that pinstripe.
Here are those numbers we were talking about. 20 homers more than Kyle Schwarber, who's next on the list. So Aaron Judge is 30 years old. Next year, just after opening day, he'll be 31. Generally speaking, Ruben, I'll go back to you on this, having consummated deals like this before from your GM days, guys that have the multiple zeros on the contracts, and even the things like Lindor, Tatis, those are guys who are on the south side of 30. This is tricky, right? They've got to keep him there. But how many zeros does this deal have on it? Is it going to be the highest AAV contract for a player 30 years old or older? What do you see in the future?
I think it will be. I know he's a big man, and I know there's some fear about signing a guy like this. But to me, when you have a franchise type of a player and a franchise type of person, I think you go the extra mile. And so for me, it's got to be at least an 8-year deal, I got to believe. And I think he's going to be in somewhere between $350 and $400 million, somewhere in that zone. And I know that's a ton of money, but this is a guy that is producing. I think that the fact that there's a DH, I think that helps him a little bit. There's no question about that. It's universal. And I think there's other teams that might be thinking the same thing. So they may push the Yankees along a little bit. I think there's some other clubs in the West Coast that might want his services.
Man, price of poker goes up every time he swings a bat.
Well, I tell you, he did a great job of betting on himself. It will be the highest average salary that we've seen in our game. And if you're the Yankees, to me, or any ball club that's looking at this situation, for me, you overpay the next 4 years. You overpay the next 4 years so that the average salary starts to decline as the player starts to decline.
See, I always believed in this as a GM. I know that if I really needed a player, I was really probably going to get like the real production out of him, probably 2/3 of that contract. And I mean, it's just what you got to do to play. If you want to win, you got to pay it. And you got to understand that maybe the last third of that contract, you're not going to get a very productive player, but those first 2/3, you're going to get a pretty exciting player.
It's going to be fascinating to watch. The fun stuff to watch starts tonight with this pursuit of 61 and 61. Will be on the story tonight and all week long.